Hi, Greg.
Hi, Helen. How are you?
All the better for seeing you.
I am so happy to be here with you too,
Thank
as
you,
we
Greg.
can talk about this fabulous series. I mean, you're talking about, thinking you're only going to watch one or two episodes. You sit the whole night, you go right through. It's just that compelling.
I did too. I was really quite swept along by it, and I was really sad when it was over.
I
And we were
agree.
sad when we finished filming. We all, I mean, particularly Joe and Patty and I just loved doing this show. And,
Right.
rekindling thoughts about that time and the feeling of being in that time, a very different time. We love the cars of the era. They had like
Yeah.
four knobs, and one of them was for the radio. And just such,
Right.
simple, glamorous instruments of travel. And now we, of course, drive around in computers.
There you go. There you go. And I think, what was the term they called this movie? Fraction, the blending of fact and fiction.
Yes, I hadn't heard that, but yes, that is exactly what it does do. And I think that was a later choice. I don't think that wasn't originally part of the description of the show. And I think that once we got underway, I think Ryan just saw this opportunity to do that and see what feelings it created and thoughts it created, to see what might have been.
Yeah.
And well, maybe there were some people who were trying to do that, and maybe there was no uniformity in these feelings of exclusion. And it's just very stimulating to perform it as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Really
anytime
exciting to play this character.
Oh, I was going to say, here you are, she's a talent agent, which actually was a powerful job for a woman back then, especially since that was the time of a man's world.
Well, she was really more of a studio executive in the sense that she was a talent finder and a
Mhm.
talent groomer, but
Right.
also she was just a studio personage who had some real weight. She had real pull with the number two guy who was actually running the studio, who was actually running the day-to-day functionings of how pictures are made and who got hired to do what. And she, her opinion, she was his trusted confidant, and she had clearly, by the way it was indicated in the script, the way I performed her, she was conducted herself exactly as a man would with him. Oh, I don't think we should go with him. We got to hire this guy. This guy's good. Just talking as an equal. Back in the day when there were not that many women professionals, was a very fun thing to do. It was very glamorous. It felt very glamorous and very powerful. A
Ah,
woman full of agency and charm.
right. And then when you just mentioned glamorous, I understand that you showed what some of the costume people dresses were pictures with your mother
I
wearing.
did, and yes, I mean, this one particular photograph of my mother was right this exact period, and I just thought it was such a great picture. My mother was kind of glamorous. I mean, she was just a daytime outfit, but it was so pretty that they copied it exactly, which I didn't know they were going to do. And one day I had this costume to get into that was exactly my mother's jacket. Uh, Very distinctive design and very distinctive use of a plaid and putting the pockets at a different angle, and the blouse and the pin that was similar. And it was very touching that they did that. And it was very touching to wear it. It made me feel like, a real person of that epoch.
Oh, that's great. That is absolutely great. And another character in the movie, which is also one of my favorite places to go in LA, was Musso and Frank's. I mean, that
Yes,
place, of course, has so much great Hollywood history.
yes, they used it a lot. And I think for all of us, when I first came to Hollywood, I lived not far from there and I ate there all the time. And it is something to be in that place. On the one hand, it could make you feel the transitory nature of everything because, everything has happened, everything has just gone through that funnel of Musso and Frank's, and Musso and Frank's is still there and still irritatingly not open on a Sunday.
Absolutely. Well, Helen, enjoy very much the series and enjoy talking to you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. It's my pleasure. Best
All right.
best of luck to you.
And same to you. Take care. Hello, how are y'all?
What's up, Greg?
Hi.
Detroit, representing Hollywood. Everyone's
Yeah.
got their Hollywood
Yeah,
side.
nice shot.
Love
It's,
it.
gotta, like you said, gotta wear that. I bought it in Hollywood on Hollywood Boulevard. So, it just fits in perfectly.
Perfect.
Gotta tell you, like I mentioned to everybody, this is just truly one of those binge watchable shows where you sit down thinking you're just going to watch a little bit of it and catch up tomorrow. No, it's kind of like all 20 episodes. I know it's not that many, but all 20 episodes, you sit there and you watch it. So pulled into this. I mean, just a great story. And then here you guys all are playing at that time young Hollywood, but from the 1940s, and all of you had your dreams because, like, I'll just say, like Laura, like with your character, here's a young lady who already knew that had a strike against her, if you know what I mean, but she was determined to do what she wanted to do, and that was to be a lead actor.
Yes, and this was at a time when that hadn't happened yet. There hadn't been a Black leading lady before, and as we look at the story with Hattie McDaniels, these incredibly talented actors were forced into these roles of maids and servants and domestics. So for Camille to be able to dream bigger and then to look at our show and think, what if that had been able to happen? What if there had been a huge hit with a Black woman as the lead and with a Black gay writer? Like what could have representation have meant, and how could have Hollywood looked now if these things had been able to happen then? So it was really inspiring, and I think it also really puts a lens on where we're at today, because we've made a lot of strides, but we also have a long ways to go. So hopefully this inspires people to push further through it.
No, that's for sure. Anyone like your character, Samara? I mean, here she comes from the family that runs the place. Probably could have easily gotten something going, but she wanted to do her thing on her own.
Yes, Claire definitely is ambitious and doesn't want the town to know that she's the studio head's daughter. And I think that's partly to do with her relationship with her parents. They don't want her to be in the business, but she's somewhat ignored by them. And there's some very funny but heartbreaking scenes with Patty and Rob Reiner, where you discover that she has this underbelly of just wanting to be loved and to be noticed, which is sort of covered by huge confidence and a little bit of naivete towards what's really important in the show, in the business. And her and Camille's relationship definitely opens her up. And her generosity and warmth can seep through a little bit.
Right. And then Darren, your guy, I mean, he just wants to make movies. He wants to do, something good. But then, of course, people then look at him strange because he's got a relationship with a woman of color. Then also his own identity can't be brought out the way, I'm quite sure the character really would have wanted it to be.
Yeah, well, he has a bit of it. First of all, I just have to say, Greg, I got a shout out. I don't know if that's just what your house looks like regularly, or if you set dress just for this interview, but God bless you, because I see two Audreys, I see Darth, I see the Beatles. Like, you're the man.
All right, and this is it normally. Thank you.
That's just it. Any other show, I don't know if it'd fit as well. So this is great. Yeah, Raymond has a bit of a chip on his shoulder, if not a hang up about maybe not necessarily speaking about his background, because maybe there's a part of that would get in the way of his access to doing what he wants to do. I think Ryan's always been fascinated with the idea that I'm half Filipino, and because I'm white passing, it sort of offers this interesting dichotomy of the way you're perceived and the way that you're accepted in certain otherwise closed off circles that Hollywood would be in the 1940s. So, I think he, much like Ryan Murphy, Raymond, you said he just wants to make movies. He doesn't just want to make movies. He wants to make, statements, and he wants to be able to cut through, the bullshit and the nonsense and things that he doesn't believe in. And he doesn't I think like Ryan is a visionary. People who don't accept the thing in front of them, they see through it, And so Raymond is that guy that uses film not as just a fun means to do something cool, but as a real torch and a battering ram to break walls down and to he's a social justice warrior in the same way that I think Ryan is. So I knew what you meant by he just wants to make movies. He does, but it's definitely grounded in something a much higher calling.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to watching it again. Laura, Samara, Darren, thank you all so very, very much.
Thank
and continue to enjoy, and I'm glad you like the basement.
Yeah, and go blue.
All right. Love this guy and all of you. Take care. The 3 J's, how are you guys?
Okay.
Good, how are you?
Nice shirt.
Oh, thanks. Figured I'd, dress appropriately.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I got to tell you, like I've been mentioning to everybody, this was one of those when you sat down, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to watch 2, the episodes tonight, 2 tomorrow, and so on. No, you just sit there and take the whole thing because you're pulled in.
Yeah.
All of your characters, just pull everyone in, and just even starting like Jeremy. Here's your guy. He wants to be, a screenwriter, and he's got a couple of things which obviously would have been obstacles back then against him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we watch him have to navigate that, being a Black man, being a queer man, trying to access this space in this industry at the time in the 40s. It's interesting, and I think you want to root for these characters because you see their heart, you see their passion, you see how far and they're willing to go to put themselves on the line to get what it is they want, and that being their dreams, seeing their dreams come true. And for Archie, that is to be a writer that writes a movie that is acceptable for all, that isn't just a race picture, which is what most Black writers were writing at that time, but to write a movie that could be a hit, and he wouldn't just be known as a Black writer, but to just be known as a writer, which it would blow his mind at the time. So again, you kind of watch them navigate through all of that.
Right. And then, like Jake, you played an actual real person. You played Rock Hudson. And probably if Rock Hudson had have had the things that we saw in this movie, things might have been happier for him, in real life. But here you are, you're playing this guy, the handsome, chiseled guy. But like you said, you're in love with this guy.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that would have been incredible. It's such a hopeful, triumphant show. And I think it's, really relevant. What you said is it's so cool to be able to sit down and watch something, you become attached to these characters, and it's in a very triumphant way and root for them. But yeah, playing Rock, it was, very daunting at first. And you're playing someone who's an icon, and, he's a hero in my mind, grappling with family and a tragedy, and in that he has to hold a secret, I guess. So in a way he feels ostracized, but it was an incredible honor to be on a Ryan Murphy set and work with people like Jim Parsons, Jeremy Pope. Those guys are right there.
There you go. And I was going to say, Jim, you've always heard about how some of these people, who had power in Hollywood were, of course, like Louis B. Mayer, Jack Warner, Harry Cohen. Your guy, wow, was a spitball of fire. It's like, don't get in his way, because you will definitely take them down.
Yeah, he definitely had a hunger and a drive to succeed and for his clients to succeed. And he was pretty willing to do just about anything he needed to do to get that done. For me to play it, it's very different from not only anything I play, but who I am as a person. I'm fairly driven as an actor, but not at all costs like he is. Right. And it was right or wrong, it was a lot of fun to get to put on the persona of somebody who was willing to do certain things that I would never do in my own life.
Right. And then also just when you said that part about, put on the persona, it had to be unique for you guys just to, dress the way they had to dress and do the things they had to do, back in the 1940s, where now, of course, we're more relaxed, but back then it was nothing but suits, Jeremy.
Nothing but suits. It was nothing but suits, and I feel like my hands were up to my neck. But once I got used to that, I loved working on the set. I had never had an experience like that. We were, transported to this beautiful era where people got dressed up just to go out to eat, and wanted to look their best at all times. So it makes it easier it made it easier for me as an artist, as an actor, to just like fall deep right into, and my feet were on the ground in this world, this fantasy world we were creating. And then Archie just kind of, found his way through me.
Absolutely. And also there were venues that also were part of the story, a part of the character. I mean, one of my favorite places I love to go to when I'm in LA is Musso and Frank's. Mm-hmm. And Jake, you guys were there quite often. Jim, having a good time.
Yeah, it was one of the. That place is just as romantic in its own way as the entire era itself, and very evocative. It elicits feelings and sensations from you that's really fun to be a part of.
Totally. I think it makes it easier to just be in the moment and connect as well. Being in such a, it makes it feel so sensational and like you're in a time warp.
You got it. Like I said, that's why I love going there. Gentlemen, enjoyed this very, very much. Enjoyed talking to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for your time and take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great T-shirt, man.
Yeah, man. Wow.
Figured I'd wear it, to be appropriate, for the movie.
What's on it besides Hollywood? What's
It's
the
a
images?
guy behind a camera, right?
Camera.
I can't see it.
Oh,
It's a camera.
It's a DP. It's a camera operator.
Oh, let me see.
there you go.
Oh, okay. Got you.
And I actually bought it in Hollywood back in the day. So good, good, good. Probably like everybody's been telling you all. I mean, just enjoyed this series so much. And you're talking about binge worthy. I think like most of us, it's like, okay, I'll just watch a couple today, a couple tomorrow. No,
Yeah.
I'm like everybody else. You could have had 20 episodes and we'd have been watching them all. But, it was great just seeing, the Hollywood of the 1940s and different things like that. Because like David, your guy, did what a lot of people did even before, and even, of course, up until today. Uprooted the family, moved there because he wants to be a star.
Yeah, and then quickly took a detour into the oldest profession, huh? Yeah, it's so much fun to get to play kind of a classic American archetype. The young man who served in war and wants to raise his family and has a big dream of how he's going to seek his fortune, and then very quickly takes a real left turn right into the hands of the sumptuous Dylan McDermott, and realizes that this facade that he had seen played out on the big screen in his small town was just that, a facade, and the ways of actually getting up there are not so glamorous and not so much fun, and not in keeping with his his strict moral upbringing.
Right, because like you said, everything seems to happen at the gas station. I mean, Patty, that's where you got to meet David's character, and Dylan, you ran the place. I mean, it gives a whole new meaning to full service gas station.
That's right. Fill her up.
Right.
Premium lubrication.
There you go.
That was on the wall of the gas station. That's not mine. That's on the wall of the gas station.
That's on the calendar from 1948. Okay, great. And Patty, I mean, you're married to a studio executive. You figure that, hey, all you got to do is sit back at home and just be rich and be happy. But she wanted so much more.
Well, I think she was, unhappy in the relationship with her husband. I don't know whether, since we don't explore that, whether she would have been, had she been happy with her husband, whether she would have sought the gas station, Dreamland. But as she did, she is able to satisfy a sexual need, connect herself to a part of the business that, she is, on the subliminal range of, and then when she becomes powerful, she already knows that circle of people,
right,
as herself, not as the wife of,
right.
And so it makes her much more of an individual, and I guess that's it. Much more of an individual, in her own right, not the wife of.
Right. Like you said, her own person. And Dylan, your guy was definitely his own person. I mean, this was kind of like, where there's a mix of course, reality or fact, and then also fiction throughout the movie, where we're hearing about real stars we know of. Well, we've all heard about that gas station, and your guy was just kind of like the perfect one to run it. Always with the cigarette, and always just going, "You're going to do what I tell you to do."
And so handsome.
Yes.
So handsome.
Yes, it's a fun guy to play. I think Ryan really described it perfectly when he said faction.
Yeah.
And that really is what this show is. It's a great mix between fiction and facts. And certainly Ernie is a part of many different things, loosely based on Scotty Bowers, but then Ryan's interpretation and my interpretation, and That's the beautiful thing about art, is that we kind of create it together, and that's certainly what we did on this show.
No, that's for sure. Because like you said, it was just a fun thing to watch, because of course Hollywood back then was filled with secrets, on all types of things. And like you said, David, like with your guy, here's this guy who's, trying to be still the good, husband and all like that. But like you said, he sees that he's got to do certain things if he wants his career to go up.
Yeah, the question of compromise and of who you trust, and the people who you think are running things turn out not to be the people who are running things, and the people who have power, and whether they take advantage of their power or use their power, as in the case of Patty's character Avis, in the end to do the right thing and advance untold stories, stick by their principles. It's one of the reasons it's so great that there are so many characters and so many great actors playing them, is you get all sides of the story. It's not black and white. It's 20 different perspectives, and they've all got their own history and their own bad experiences and their own hopes and dreams. And seeing them all converge, especially in the last episode when literally everyone's at the same party, really exciting to get to watch that happen.
That's for sure. Well, Patty, David, and Dylan, thank you all very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're
Stay
wonderful.
safe.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.